Good day, honorable dignitaries. Mr. Shu Lajiang, Executive Vice Chairman of the All China Federation of Industry and Commerce, Mr. Wang Laiqing, Chairman of CABC, President of Wali Group, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Commerce officials, distinguished ambassadors, esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dr. Hany Besada, Senior Research and Program Advisor at the United Nations Office for South-South Cooperation. It's an honor to participate in this year's Forum on China-Africa Private Sector Cooperation put together by the China-Africa Business Council, which focuses on the opportunities and challenges for Africa-China industrial trade and cooperation in the context of COVID-19 pandemic, and to give this keynote address. While development alliances of Africa have historically come from the north, new players from the global south have rapidly become vibrant actors in the processes of national and continental development. Forums such as the Forum on Cooperation between China and Africa, FOCAC, the India-Africa Summit, the Russia-Africa Summit, and the BRICS are important policy outlets for Africa's regional development activities in the context of South-South cooperation. Cooperation between China and Africa has made remarkable progress in recent years. In 2019, Africa's direct Chinese investment stock exceeded $49.1 billion, up almost 100 times from 2000. Trade between China and Africa has reached $208.7 billion, 20 times the scale of 2000. For 11 years in a row, China has become Africa's main trading partner and has contributed more than 20% to the continent's growth over the past period. Several flagship initiatives have been completed and put into use. The African Union's Conference Center, the Addis Ababa-Djibouti Railway, the Mombasa-Nairobi Railway, just to name a few. Cooperation in other respects, from research, education, culture, welfare, to the exchange of people to people, peace and security, is indeed making important progress. In 2015 and 2018, significant historical FOCAC summits were held by Chinese and African leaders, one in Johannesburg and one in Beijing. The unprecedented China-Africa Summit on Cooperation against COVID-19 was held in June this year, at a critical point in the fight against the coronavirus. Subsequently, political relations have become more regular, broad, and unparalleled in scale between the two parties. This year highlights the 20th anniversary of FOCAC. Over the past 2 decades, China-Africa has unlocked developmental capacity, extended cooperation, solved numerous developmental challenges, introduced essential agreements through close cooperation. Economic and commercial cooperation between China and Africa has grown more rapidly, exhibiting 3 promising shifts: from government-driven to market-driven, from trade in commodities to industrial cooperation, and from development contracts to investments and operations. Together, 10 partnership proposals and 8 main projects have been drawn up and adopted by the two, bringing substantive cooperation to a new level. All these efforts have consolidated the common support for friendship between China and Africa. With respect to Chinese private enterprises in Africa, there is immense capacity for collaboration, as competitive advantages and levels of industrialization vary between the two. Private Chinese companies have grown steadily in African countries in recent years, primarily because of their more accurate concepts for production. First, there's been a heightened focus on protected development, which has pushed for such changes. Throughout Africa, over 3,700 Chinese firms have invested and started enterprises, providing a strong driving force for sustainable regional economic development. In addition, the opening of these networks has encouraged private partnerships in a number of manufacturing systems, in particular in connectivity and financial sector information technology. As economic and trade relations between China and Africa have deepened, core actors in this area of economic cooperation have shifted, with a versatile and realistic approach coming to the fore, with many more Chinese private sector companies. Such firms of diverse sizes and numerous entities are often profitable. On the one hand, Chinese private corporations have built a full industrial infrastructure in numerous industries, and their investments in Africa is part of a global industrial chain. On the other hand, Africa has created a wide consumer market. Furthermore, latest African Development Bank projections placed the continent's minimum infrastructure needs at $100 to $170 billion per year for countries to support their economies, population, income level growth, and rebuild aging infrastructure. At least half of the provisions is unfunded at the present. China has taken in part of 200 African development projects to date. Specifically, Chinese firms have completed and are planning projects to help add and upgrade approximately 30,000 kilometers of highways, 2,000 kilometers of railways, 85 million tons of port capacity per year, more than 9 million tons of clean water storage capacity per day, approximately 20,000 megawatts of power generation capacity, and more than 30,000 kilometers of transmission and transformation lines. The proposed Lamu coal fire power plant in Kenya, with an estimated cost of $2 billion in public-private partnership expenses, is a significant example. Second is the concept of increased cluster-based operation. Better industrial opportunities can be created through utilization and development of industrial parks in Africa. These well-planned parks were constructed to satisfy respective countries' business demands and growth strategies, thus providing the best support for investor decision-making. With the preferential investment policies granted by host countries for these parks, there is opportunity for increased industrialization and decent job creation. More specifically, there are full industrial service centers and industrial parks, which allows enterprises to control cost, improve productivity. Simple investment procedures may also be provided by industrial parks, as they aren't quite familiar with overseas markets, nor do they have ample foreign investment expertise for most Chinese private sector owners. Third is the most important localization framework. Localization is a significant parameter that determines whether a business in the region in which it invests has a long-term policy, as well as the important consideration in determining the value of a company to local culture. Localization is a legal prerequisite in some African countries for foreign investments. More and more Chinese businesses have changed their minds to pursue not only short-term developmental projects, instead pursue localization strategies to establish partnerships that are long-term in planning and are mutually beneficial. Most Chinese businesses, while investing in Africa, attach considerable importance to reaping both economic and social benefits. For instance, its localization policy has given top priority by the Chinese shoemaker Hany Besada in Ethiopia. Chinese workers just number 160 out of more than 6,000 business employees. Every year, 50 African workers are sent to a 6-month training program at the company's headquarters in Guangdong province. According to the group's strategy, the Hany Besada International Light Industrial Park will manufacture more than 60% of the shoes, clothes, bags produced in Ethiopia upon its completion in 2020, delivering 30 to 50,000 job opportunities. With respect to solidarity against COVID-19, the crisis has been a setback for sustainable economic development of economies across the globe. Experts thus suggest that African countries should leverage strong bilateral ties with China to boost COVID-19 pandemic action and accelerate the growth across the continent's various economic sectors. China has been at the forefront in helping African countries in responding to the pandemic over the past couple of months. Technical material assistance have been given, such as personal protective equipment, ventilators, and kits for research. For example, in June, more than 40 Africans and 15 Chinese scholars participated in a virtual conference coordinated by API and the Chinese Embassy in Kenya, entitled Enhancing China-Africa Collaboration on Countering COVID-19 Pandemic and Fostering Manufacturing. This method of exploring new strategies to boost cooperation in the midst of the current economic condition is significant to the sustainable development of both parties in a post-COVID-19 environment. In conclusion, and despite the continued cooperative platforms between China and Africa, there are still many who suggest that the relationship could, both economically speaking and politically speaking, benefit from several enhancements. In terms of private enterprise on the continent, cooperation between China and Africa could be better aligned with the African Union Agenda 2063, the 10 main cooperation plans between China and Africa, the development of continental high-speed rail and aviation networks and industrialization, and the continuous enhancements of the efficiency of Chinese exports of goods to Africa. Investments by Chinese companies should thus be more strictly be guided by the objectives of FOCAC Beijing Summit, improve cooperation infrastructure focused on the Belt and Road Initiative, actively encourage cooperation in industrial capacity across sectors, and advance industrialization, agricultural modernization in Africa. One thing is apparent with regards to China's engagements on the continent is that its ascendance is all but unstoppable. It's clear at this point that there's no region in this world that has derived much more benefits from China's economic boom as Africa. African leaders view China's entry in the continent as a means of pulling Africa towards the path of globalization, which has passed it thus far. I commend the China-Africa Business Council for putting together what promises to be a highly critical, important, and timely event on the future of China-Africa economic cooperation, and wish all the forum's participants fruitful deliberations. Thank you very much.